You find out that your best friend took drugs. What would you do?
I will slap him.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Asking Singaporeans, and today we'll be talking about something a little bit more serious, and that is, what would you do if your friends abuse drugs? I'm actually curious to find out what people will say about this topic, so let's go. Have you ever had to deal with a friend who made bad choices?
Yes. For example, like work commitment, right? Like let's say they have certain work commitment, but then they choose not to commit to it.
Yes, my wife.
What is the bad decision?
Asked her to do things like, hey, I want this, I want that. And then she ended up, she wants something else. But she never listened to me. Then she go for a decision. And it's a bad decision for me.
I mean, we all do have bad choices in life.
There is a lot of bad and good choices that you can do, and also the friends around you that you meet can also make you do really bad things.
What would you do if you find out that your friend actually is abusing drugs?
I will slap him. Imagining that question to my actual real best friends of like 15 years over. Of course, I think the first thing I'll tell him is why. Like, ask him why. Then next thing is, you've got a career going on, you've got a BTO going on. Do you want to risk it? It's life-changing decision.
For me, I would try to stage an intervention for her, and I would tell her the bad things. And because addiction's also really hard to quit, so I will also get help from adults.
That's good because you are trying to intervene.
Yeah.
And I guess you show that you care.
Okay, first I'll be disappointed. Yeah, they do some bad things also, but I didn't expect them to do drugs especially because it's very, very bad. So it's to your health, and of course it affects his family also. So of course disappointed. At the same time, of course, I will try to help him if he wants to listen to my advice. But what I know is from friends or sometimes they are so addicted to it, they desire not to listen to us. So that's how hard it is to help them also. So if you're not helping yourself, so basically no one will help you.
Ask her to stop and see what's going on before talking to a trusted adult. Because she's 3 years younger than me, right? So I know that if I really was a drug abuser, I probably wouldn't listen to her. But if it was the other way around and she was the drug abusee, I would use my elder wisdom to tell her about the things that I've heard about.
Can you all reenact?
Reenact?
Yeah, reenact.
Why did you do it? I have some issues, or what you could have done to me, because I feel like you wouldn't understand.
I'm not sure if I would say anything, but maybe I wouldn't. I might just keep quiet, knowing it's my friend, but I would also make sure that he gets the help he needs. Even if he doesn't go to the authorities or something, he can go to his friends and then ask for advice. Let's say a professionally trained to do all this, because there is always the authorities that could do it better than us. There's all these drug hotlines as well. I would say that I would just love to help my friend to the best of my ability.
I guess it's the first step The first step.
It is the first step. If he actually wants to move forward, come clean, that would also be a very, very wise choice.
Personally, I would sort of give him this transitional phase where you don't abruptly make him stop. Maybe introduce him to new activities.
I guess first of all, I'll just ask them why they even turn to drugs in the first place, to try and find out the reason behind that first, right? I would want to find a rehab of sorts, if that's actually available in Singapore.
An intervention.
Actually.
I mean, there are helplines around that you can put here. Yeah. Why do you think people start taking drugs?
Maybe it's a sort of escape, a stress reliever.
I think maybe they are unable to face their problems, so they think drugs can help them, how some people like to run away from their situation.
My point of view is influence. That's the main thing. Maybe start from maybe after teenager, after NS, maybe this one because of NS. Yeah. Or maybe after work, 30s also they can start their first drug.
That's true.
So it's influence.
I guess maybe they feel stressed about something, or they're going through something in life.
And maybe they want to try something new, or they get peer pressure.
It's a bit sad to say, but I suppose the pain that they are experiencing in their life is so loud that they need to find a way to silence it.
Do you think that it only affects that person, or it's also for everybody else?
No, I definitely don't think that it only affects them, because I think people are just in general very interconnected. So no matter how you feel it only affects you, as long as there are people around you in your life, people you live with, your own parents and partners and whatnot, they will definitely be affected. So I don't think it will always only be them.
Because drugs are expensive, and then you ask other people for money, so it'll affect them. And it could also affect your relationships as well, because definitely act differently when you're under the influence. That could definitely affect your relationships.
I think it'll make your family members more stressed.
I've had some friends who had exposures to some. Dealing with it, I wouldn't say I had personal, really close relationship with those who are really deep into it. How I would deal with them is to maybe encourage them to stop. I would really say try not to even go into it, because I think it's always easy to say that, I'll try, then maybe I can stop, that kind of thing. But you never know the choices afterwards that you will make after.
Do you think the people who are abusing drugs understand the consequences, or do you think they are just like want to chase that high?
I guess it's a mix, right? I feel a lot of us are educated about the possible consequences of abusing drugs, but they take the risk anyway because the risk is worth it for them for that moment of pleasure and escape.
Like short-term gratification kind of thing?
Yeah, short-term gratification.
At first, maybe because they like it, they know what's the consequences. It's just that, the first time they did, they do it and they feel it. From there, it's like, maybe a bit more, one more time, until the extent they are too addicted to it and they can't stop it.
The people who like abuse drugs, I feel like they might know, but they're more like, I want to do it, and they're trying to do it, but there's just other things that affect them, and then they'll go back to it. They want what's good for them now, rather than how it affects them in the future.
Well said. Would you cut ties with the best friend if you find out they are abusing drugs?
Cutting off my friendship.
What is the limit?
No. Because if my friend was like abusing substances, I would assume that they are in a bad place. So I wouldn't immediately cut them off, but I would place some distance between me and them and like encourage them to find some help. At the end of the day, you are the one responsible for your own life.
Not immediately. I guess I would want to see like whether there's any kind of help I can render them. I would definitely try and ask them to see like if there's anything I can do. I would try and see if some of these intervention stuff, and there would be people who are familiar with how treatment rehab will work. Then I would try and find out, like, as a friend, what can I do to support them. Dealing with difficulty in general, I would want to try and bring them to go and exercise and all that. I generally think that exercise is very helpful in all areas of health, like mental health and physical health as well.
It's a very tough question, but I believe that because that relationship is so long, for example, and let's say I really find out, I'll try my best to really pull him out of it. I'll explain to him the repercussions of choosing those decisions. But ultimately, I also have learned from adulthood that sometimes you can give too much, and I think at that point of time, it'll run you dry. I'm at a stage of life where sometimes you put too much effort into something that has no obvious results, then you have to learn how to step out. But because this is my best friend of 15 years, I'll definitely give it a little bit more than what I will normally. Yes, maybe. But there will be a point of time that, it has to stop because it will bleed into you. For all you know, he might influence you back.
I think for me, I wouldn't cut the friendship outright. I would tell him that, this is wrong, you shouldn't do this at all. You should really just throw it away. And then if he still does it and he keeps on asking me to do it with him as well, and I would say, no, this is not happening. I am gonna cut you off as friends. Not because I don't want to help you or anything, but I just don't want to be around a bad influence.
What if they go to the next level and ask you to take drugs with them?
I mean, I'll definitely say no.
I think they have to respect my boundaries. If not, they're not going to be my friend. I wouldn't want to agree with them. And if they don't respect that, then that's probably where I draw the line. I would definitely still want to try and help lah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave my friend in the ditch.
Yeah.
Actually, we will never have that thought lah. Yeah, but we'll definitely say no to each other. Yeah, because I believe that we know what is the right thing to do, and definitely drugs is not the way out lah.
What are your words of advice for anyone going through this kind of problems in their lives?
Love yourself. Love yourself and people will love you. Respect yourself and people will respect you. Don't expect other people to understand you or to love you for what you're doing. By the end of the day, it will go back to you. And nobody will help you. And that's where you feel like, I'll regret, but it's too late.
I would say don't give up no matter what happens, because as long as you don't give up and you try your best, I believe good things will definitely come to you. Create your own support system. I know not a lot of people have friends, and it's kind of hard to make friends nowadays, I feel like. Find hobbies, you distract yourself in other ways aside from substances. Find healthy hobbies. Run, lift weights, crochet, or do something else other than substance abuse, because not only is it bad for your health, but it's just expensive in general. You are your first and foremost friend.
I don't know how it really feels like to be in their situation, so I don't know how difficult it is. And I guess I'll use what I said just now is try and exercise if you can. And best is if you don't not just exercise by yourself, exercise with people together. And then if you go through this with a community, I think it tends to be easier and you feel more hopeful.
And you create a support system for yourself so that you can bring yourself out of the dark place.
Yes.
I think for me, because right now at the state where I'm also figuring out life, I mean definitely not with drugs, but I think the word is control over comfort. There's something I will always tell my friends these days, because it's easy to just be at ease, to be comfortable, and I think drugs gives you that momentarily happiness. But I think having control with your decisions will ultimately dictate your life. It's a long, hard process, but I think it's more worthwhile than just enjoying the moment that you get from doing drugs.
Spoken like a true martial artist. Thank you for watching this episode of Asking Singaporeans, and we can all agree that drugs are harmful and that it doesn't just affect the drug abuser themselves, but also the family and friends around them. It's also heartwarming to see that from all the people that we interviewed today, they would support their friend and help them through this crisis. But it's also important to know when to seek professional help. So let us know in the comments down below, what would you do if you find out that your friend abuses drugs? See you in the next episode. Bye!